The Galactic Military Academy floated in the darkness of space like a metal flower. Station 9 was its name, and for 300 years it had trained soldiers from 47 different species. Some came with claws. Some came with armor built into their skin. Some had 4 arms or 6 legs or eyes that could see heat. All of them came to learn war. Commander stood at the observation deck and watched the new cadets walk into the orientation hall below. She held a cup of cold tea in her hands. She had forgotten to drink it again. This happened often when she watched new students arrive. There was something about their faces that always made her think of home. Among the cadets walked a young man named. He was 22 years old, tall and thin, with the look of someone who had trained hard but never truly fought. He came from a colony world called New, a place with gentle weather and low gravity where humans grew up soft and safe. He did not know it yet, but today would change everything he understood about his own species. Had learned many things about humans while growing up. He learned that they were smart but weak. He learned that compared to other species in the Alliance, humans were fragile. They had bodies covered in natural armor that could stop bullets. They had 4 massive arms and could lift vehicles with their bare hands. They could survive in the vacuum of space for almost an hour without protection. Humans had none of these gifts. They had soft skin that cut easily. They had only 2 arms. They needed air and water and warmth to survive. The history files said that humans earned their place in the Galactic Alliance through clever thinking and careful talking. They were diplomats, negotiators, the friendly species that helped others make peace. This is what believed. This is what everyone believed. Commander was listed in the Academy records as simply human Earthborn. There was no combat record next to her name, no special skills, just a note that said she had worked at this station for 11 years and never once joined the physical training classes. She did paperwork. She organized schedules. She was, by all accounts, exactly as boring as a human should be. She was also watching very carefully, though he did not notice. The orientation hall was a massive room with high ceilings and walls made of transparent metal. Through these walls, the cadets could see the stars. Some found this beautiful. Others found it terrifying, felt something in between. An instructor named walked to the center of the hall. He was almost 3 meters tall, with 4 arms covered in old scars. His voice was deep like thunder when he spoke. "Today we test your reflexes," announced. "We test how fast you respond to danger. You will face simulations first, then you will face a live opponent." The cadets murmured among themselves, "Live opponent, on the first day." "Commander has volunteered," continued. Silence fell over the hall. Every alien head turned to look at the small human woman walking onto the training floor. They clicked their jaws in confusion. They rumbled with something that sounded like pity. A human, for combat testing. Studied the commander. She was average height for a human woman. Lean body. Black hair pulled back tight against her head. Her uniform was plain with no medals or ribbons. She looked thought like someone who worked in an office, like someone who had never seen real danger in her life. She looked tired, patient, completely ordinary. "The test is simple," explained. "You will use scanner bolts, non-lethal setting. If you hit the commander, you pass. If she touches you first, you fail." A cadet raised one armored claw. "Is this a joke? She is human. Humans are slow." Commander smiled. It was a small smile, the kind a teacher gives to a student who has said something foolish but does not know it yet. "Begin when ready," she said. The went first. He was confident. His species could move fast when they wanted to. He raised his weapon, aimed carefully, and fired. The bolt never touched her. Moved, not dramatically, not with special effects or blurred motion. She simply was not where the bolt went. She had stepped aside like she knew exactly where it would go before they pulled the trigger. Then she was behind him. Her fingers touched a spot on his neck where the armor did not cover. The drop to the floor, unconscious. 2 seconds, The whole thing took 2 seconds. The hall went very quiet. Next, said. 2 more tried. They failed faster than the first. 3 went after them using all 4 arms, firing multiple bolts at once. Walked through the attacks like they were raindrops she could see falling in slow motion. She touched each once, and each one fell. A tried to use its ability to change skin color, hopping to confuse her. Closed her eyes and found it anyway. 6 cadets, 6 failures. None of them lasted more than 5 seconds. The other cadets stared. The instructor stared. Even, who had seen many things in his long life, stared. Felt his heart beating fast. His hands were sweating around his weapon. He was next. He did not want to be next. But he stepped forward anyway, because that is what soldiers do. Commander turned to face him. Her eyes were dark brown, almost black. There was something old in those eyes, something that had seen more than an office worker should ever see. "Whenever you are ready," she said softly. Raised his weapon. His trainer on Nu had told him he was gifted. His accuracy rating was in the 93rd percentile. He was fast. He was good. He fired. The scanner bolt screamed through the air. It was a small thing, really. Just a ball of electromagnetic energy designed to scramble the brain for a few minutes. Not deadly, but fast, very fast. Even they, with all their strength, could not dodge a scanner bolt at close range. Watched his shot fly toward Commander. He had aimed perfectly. Center mass. No way to dodge, no way to block. Raised her hand. Not quickly. That was the strange part. Her movement was calm, almost lazy, like she was reaching for a cup of tea. Her palm opened. Her fingers spread wide. The bolt hit her hand and stopped. She caught it. The energy crackled against her skin for half a second. Blue light danced between her fingers. Then it faded away to nothing, absorbed or dismissed, could not tell which. The training hall was completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Looked at her palm with mild interest, like she was checking for dirt. Then she looked at. "Earthborn," she said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "Try again." His mind went blank. This was impossible. Humans could not catch scanner bolts. Nobody could catch scanner bolts. The energy moved too fast. The physics did not allow it. He had studied the science. He knew the numbers. But he had also just seen it happen. His training took over. When confused, act. When scared, move forward. He raised his weapon and fired 3 times in rapid succession. Left, center, right. Maximum spread pattern. No single target could avoid all 3. Caught the first one with her left hand. She stepped aside and let the second pass so close it burned a line across her collar. Then she reached out with her right hand, casual as picking fruit from a tree, and plucked the third bolt from the air. She stood there with crackling energy dancing across both palms, looking at like a teacher waiting for a student to understand a simple lesson. "What's?" voice broke. He had to swallow and try again. "What are you?" Something changed in Commander's face. The patience was still there, but underneath it saw something else. Something that looked like sadness. Something that looked like memory. "I am what Earth made," she said quietly, "before we learned to be civilized." She let the energy fade from her hands and turned to walk off the training floor. Behind her, the hall full of cadets remained frozen. All of them staring at this small human woman like they had never seen a human before. Maybe they had not. Maybe none of them had ever seen a real one. Instructor cleared his throat. The sound was like rocks grinding together. "Training is finished for today. You are dismissed." The cadets scattered. They whispered to each other in their own languages. They sent messages to friends on other stations. Within hours, the story would spread across a dozen worlds. The human who caught lightning with her bare hands. But did not leave. He stood in the empty training hall, weapon still in his grip, staring at the spot where Commander had stood. His mind kept replaying what he had seen. The casual movement, the complete lack of fear, the way she had moved like she already knew what would happen before it happened. Humans were supposed to be weak. Everyone knew this. The Alliance records said it. The history files confirmed it. Humans were clever, not strong, smart, not fast. They survived through technology and words, not through physical power. So why could this woman catch scanner bolts? Thought about the other species in the Alliance. They evolved on a planet with massive predators. Their armor was a survival adaptation. They came from a high-gravity world where only the strongest lived. Their 4 arms and dense muscles were natural responses to a harsh environment. What about Earth? Realized he knew almost nothing about humanity's home world. The colony education system taught colonists about their new homes, not their old one. He knew very well. Its gentle climate, its low gravity, its complete lack of dangerous animals. But Earth was just a name, a distant place where humans came from long ago, not important, not relevant. Suddenly was not so sure. He left the training hall and walked toward the Academy archives. The station was large, and the archives were located in a quiet section that most cadets never visited. Why would they? Everything they needed to know was in the standard education files. But the standard files had not mentioned anything about humans catching scanner bolts. Entered the archive. It was a dark room filled with terminals and holographic displays. The air smelled old, like dust and forgotten information. He sat down at a terminal and began to search. Earth, human, environmental conditions. The results that came back made his hands go cold. Gravity, 1 standard. New was only 0.7. Earth pulled harder on everything. Predators, multiple apex predators across all continents. Large cats, bears, wolves, crocodiles, sharks, venomous snakes, venomous spiders, venomous everything. Climate, extreme variation. Temperatures ranging from -50 to +50 degrees. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Disease. Thousands of bacteria and viruses capable of killing within hours. Radiation. Yellow sun with significant ultraviolet output. Constant low-level radiation exposure. Stared at the screen. This could not be right. No intelligent species could evolve on a planet this hostile. It was a death world, a nightmare world. And humans had lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. Finding some interesting reading. Spun around. Commander stood in the archive doorway holding 2 cups of tea. Commander walked into the archive like she owned the place. Maybe she did. She had been stationed here for 11 years. She probably knew every corner of this station better than the people who built it. She sat down in a chair across from and handed him one of the tea cups. The tea was warm. It smelled like flowers from a garden had never visited. The colonies were designed to be safe, said. She spoke like they were continuing a conversation they had already started. When humanity spread across the stars, we terraformed new worlds to be gentle, low gravity, stable weather, no predators, no diseases that could not be cured easily. Wrapped his hands around the warm cup. Why? Because we remembered what Earth was like, and we did not want our children to suffer the way our ancestors suffered. Sipped her tea. New has 0.7 Earth gravity. Humans born there grow tall and thin. Their bones never need to become dense. Their reflexes never sharpen against real danger. They are comfortable, safe, happy. But weak, said. The word tasted bitter in his mouth. Different, corrected. Not weak, just different, adapted to different conditions. And Earthborn humans, humans like you. Set her cup down. For a moment she looked out the archive window at the stars beyond. Her face was calm, but her eyes were far away, seeing something could not see. I was born in a place called, she said, mountains, very cold in winter, snow so deep it could bury a house. My grandmother taught me to hunt before I taught me to read. We tracked deer through forests where the temperature was negative 20 degrees. We caught fish in rivers that could kill you in 5 minutes if you fell in. She turned back to look at. Earth taught us things, hard things. How to survive when everything around you is trying to kill you. How to move fast when a predator is chasing you. How to think clearly when your body is freezing or burning or bleeding. The scanner bolts said, "How did you catch them?" Practice, reflex. The same way my ancestors learned to catch arrows and dodge spears, smiled slightly. Energy bolts move fast, but they move in straight lines. They glow bright. They make noise. For someone trained to react to threats, they are actually quite easy to track. But the Alliance records say humans are. The Alliance records say what we want them to say. The words hung in the air like smoke. Felt something cold crawl down his spine. When humanity first made contact with the Galactic Alliance, continued, we were assessed, studied, measured. The Alliance wanted to know what we were. Were we a threat? Were we useful? Were we something to be controlled or something to be feared? She picked up her tea again. We chose to be underestimated. You lied. We let them see what they expected to see. Soft pink creatures from a medium planet, clever with technology, good at talking, no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. Voice was calm, almost casual, like she was discussing the weather. The Alliance decided we were too fragile to be warriors, too numerous to be slaves, too clever to be ignored, so they made us administrators, negotiators, the friendly face of expansion. Thought about this. He thought about the proud of their armor, the confident in their strength, all of them looking at humans and seeing something harmless. What happens, he asked slowly, to species the Alliance considers militarily threatening? They get managed. His voice did not change, but something in her eyes grew harder. Contained. Watched. Sometimes they have accidents. Sometimes their planets suffer unexpected disasters. Sometimes they simply disappear and nobody asks questions. So Earthborn humans are very carefully not deployed in combat roles. We volunteer for quiet jobs, administrative work, training academies far from the center of Alliance power. She gestured around the archive. Places like this, where we can watch, where we can learn, where we can evaluate other species without them realizing they are being evaluated. The truth settled over like a heavy blanket. The Alliance thought they were studying humanity, watching the weak species, keeping track of the soft creatures. They did not understand that humanity had been studying them for 300 years. "Why are you telling me this?" asked. "I am nobody. I am just a cadet from a colony world." "Because you looked for answers," finished her tea and stood up. "Most people see something impossible and try to forget it. They tell themselves they were mistaken. They convince themselves that what they saw could not have happened. But you came here. You searched for the truth. That is rare." She walked toward the archive door, then stopped and looked back. The Alliance is not perfect. It has done terrible things to species it considered dangerous. But it is also the first time in galactic history that hundreds of different species have tried to build something together instead of destroying each other. Humanity could have demanded respect through force. We could have shown the galaxy what Earth made us. But we chose patience instead. We chose to earn our place slowly, carefully, without making enemies afraid. "And if that stops working," asked, "if the Alliance decides humans are a threat after all?" Commander smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had thought about this question many times and did not like the answer. "Then the galaxy will learn what we really are," she said. "But I hope it never comes to that. I have seen enough fighting for one lifetime." She left the archive. The door closed behind her with a soft sound. Sat alone in the dark room, surrounded by information about 100 different worlds. He thought about his home on Nu, about his family, about the gentle life he had lived before coming to this academy. He thought about Earth, the death world, the planet that bred humans tough enough to catch lightning with their bare hands. and he wondered what other secrets his species was keeping. The alarm started screaming at 3 in the morning. Woke from a dream about snow and mountains, images borrowed from Commander's stories, and found red emergency lights flashing across his small room. The alarm was loud and harsh, the kind of sound designed to wake the dead. He grabbed his training uniform and ran into the hallway. Other cadets were already there, confused and scared. A was clicking its jaws rapidly. 2 were shouting questions that nobody could answer. A had turned pale gray, the color of fear. "What is happening?" asked. Nobody knew. The station's communication system crackled. Instructor's voice came through, rough with stress. "All cadets proceed to evacuation points. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Hostile forces have breached station defenses." Hostile forces. The words hit like cold water. He followed the other cadets toward the central hub, where the evacuation ships were docked. The station was chaos. People running in every direction. Emergency doors slamming shut. The artificial gravity flickering for a moment before stabilizing. Then he heard the screaming. It came from ahead, from the central hub itself. Not the scream of alarm, the scream of terror, the kind of sound that living things make when they are about to die. Reached the hub entrance and stopped. 3 creatures stood in the middle of the open space. They were tall, taller than, with bodies like skeletons wrapped in gray skin. Their joints bent wrong, backward in directions that made stomach twist. They had no eyes, just smooth faces with wide mouths full of needle teeth. Harvesters. Every child in the Alliance learned about harvesters. They were the monsters of space, the nightmare species that attacked colony worlds and killed everything they found. They fed on fear. They could smell terror the way other creatures smelled food. They had destroyed 17 colonies in the past 10 years, and nobody had been able to stop them. Bodies lay on the floor of the central hub. Cadets who had arrived before. Some were still moving. Most were not. The harvesters turned their eyeless faces toward the new arrivals. Their mouths opened wide in hungry smiles. "Fear," one of them said. Its voice was like breaking glass. So much fear, delicious. Could not move. His legs had frozen. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Beside him, other cadets were shaking, crying. Some were already running away. The fear was overwhelming. It pressed against his mind like a physical weight. Then someone walked past him. Commander moved through the crowd of terrified cadets like a stone moving through water. Her steps were calm. Her breathing was steady. Her face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, no emotion at all. She walked toward the harvesters. The lead creature tilted its head. Its nostrils, 2 small slits below its mouth, flared as it tried to smell her. "No fear," it rasped, confused. "Broken prey, empty meat." "Not broken," said. She stopped 10 meters from the creatures. "Just old." The harvester laughed. The sound was terrible, like metal scraping against metal. Old meat is still meat. Old bones still break. It moved. Harvesters were fast. Everyone knew this. They could cross a room in the time it took to blink. Their arms were bladed, designed for cutting. They had hunted intelligent species for thousands of years and never found prey they could not kill. The harvester's blade arm slashed towards throat. She was not there. She had stepped to the side just slightly, just enough. The blade passed through empty air, and then's hand was moving, touching the harvester's neck at a specific point, pressing with fingers that knew exactly where to press. The harvester dropped. Its body hit the floor and did not move. 4 seconds. The whole thing took 4 seconds. The other 2 harvesters screamed, rage and confusion and something that might have been fear. They attacked together, blades coming from multiple angles, moving faster than its eyes could follow. Moved between them. It was not like watching a fight. It was like watching a dance that she had practiced 1,000 times. She knew where the blades would go before they went there. She flowed around attacks like water flowing around stones. Her hands touched bodies in precise places and bodies fell. The second harvester lasted 7 seconds. It tried to adapt, tried to learn her pattern. She changed the pattern. It tried to flee. She caught it. The third harvester was smarter. It stayed back. It watched. It waited for an opening. "You are not normal prey," it said. "What are you?" "Human," replied, "Earthborn." She moved. The harvester moved too, finally attacking with all its speed and all its strength. Its blade caught her shoulder, cutting deep, opening the flesh to the bone. Blood splashed across the floor. Did not stop. She caught the creature's arm mid-swing. Her grip was like iron. The harvester tried to pull free and could not. She twisted, using leverage and angles and knowledge passed down through generations of warriors who had never stopped fighting even when the rest of humanity forgot how. She drove the harvester's own blade through its throat. Then she stood among the 3 dead bodies, breathing evenly, blood running down her arm and dripping from her fingers. She turned to look at the frozen cadets, at the instructors who had arrived too late to help. "Medical team to the central hub," she said. Her voice was completely calm. "And someone find me a bandage. This is going to need cleaning." Stared at her, at the blood, at the bodies, at this small human woman who had just killed 3 harvesters in less than 30 seconds. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy was very, very wrong. The days after the attack were filled with chaos. Alliance investigators arrived on fast ships. Medical teams came to treat the wounded. Security experts walked through the station with serious faces, trying to understand how 3 harvesters had breached defenses that were supposed to be unbreakable. And everyone talked about Commander. The story spread across the station like fire. The human who killed 3 harvesters with her bare hands, the administrator who moved faster than monsters, the woman who felt no fear. Some believed it, some did not. Some said it must have been luck or tricks or special weapons hidden in her clothing. They could not accept what had seen with his own eyes. Spent 2 days in the medical ward. Her shoulder wound was deep. The blade had cut through muscle and scraped bone. The alien doctors were amazed that she could move her arm at all. They were even more amazed when they saw how fast she was healing. "Human regeneration rate is unusual," one doctor said, reviewing her scans. "The bone is already showing signs of repair. This should not be possible at this speed." "Earth had a lot of things that wanted to hurt us," replied. "We evolved to recover quickly." Visited her on the 3rd day. She was sitting up in her medical bed, reading something on a. Her arm was wrapped in white bandages, but she moved it freely, like the injury was already an old memory. "They are going to reassign you," said. It was not a question. He had heard the rumors, seen the nervous looks from Alliance officers. Probably did not look up from her reading. Some quiet colony world, maybe a farming community, somewhere far from anything important. "Does that not bother you, hiding what you are?" She set the down and looked at him. Her eyes were the same as before, dark, deep, full of things she had seen and done. But there was something softer there too, something tired. "My grandmother survived a war," she said. "A human war before we reached the stars. A terrible war that killed millions of people. She told me stories when I was young, about the things humans did to each other, about the cities that burned, about the weapons that could destroy whole countries in a single flash." His voice was quiet, but found himself leaning forward to listen. "She told me that strength is not about what you can destroy. It is about what you choose not to destroy. Earth taught us to be survivors, to be killers when we needed to be. But it also taught us that the species who lead with their teeth always end up alone." She gestured toward the window. Outside, the stars glittered in the endless dark. Ships moved between them, carrying people and goods and ideas. The Galactic Alliance at work. "The Alliance is not perfect," continued. It has done terrible things. It has erased species that it considered threats. It has covered up crimes and protected the powerful and ignored the weak. But it is also the first time in galactic history that hundreds of different species have tried to build something together, to create instead of destroy, to connect instead of conquer. And humanity chose to be part of that, said. Humanity chose to be patient. We could have shown the galaxy what we really are. We could have demanded respect through force. Instead, we decided to earn it slowly, to prove ourselves through work and wisdom and patience, to be the helpful species, the friendly species, the harmless species. But you are not harmless. No, smiled. It was a strange smile, sad and proud and dangerous all at once. We are not harmless at all, but we are very good at pretending to be. Thought about this. He thought about Commander teaching children on some distant farming world, pretending to be ordinary, pretending to be weak, watching and waiting and remembering what Earth had made her. What happens if pretending stops working? He asked. What if the Alliance decides humans are a threat? Then we stop pretending. His voice was simple, matter of fact. Then we show them what 300,000 years of survival on a death world actually created. Then the galaxy learns that the soft pink creatures they have been ignoring are the most dangerous species they have ever encountered. She paused. But I hope that day never comes. I have seen enough killing. I would prefer to grow old teaching children how to fish and watching flowers bloom. An Alliance officer appeared in the doorway. Commander, your transport is ready. Stood up, she moved carefully, favoring her wounded shoulder slightly, but her steps were steady. She looked at one last time. You ask good questions, she said. You searched for truth when others wanted comfortable lies. Remember that. The galaxy needs more people who ask questions. She walked to the door, then stopped. And remember what Earth made us. Not because you should be proud of it, but because you should understand it. We are capable of terrible things. That is why we must always choose to be kind. She left, the door closed behind her. Stood alone in the medical room for a long time. He thought about humans, about Earth, about the secrets his species had kept for 300 years. Months later, when he graduated from the academy and received his first assignment, he found a note in his personal belongings. No name, no signature, just 5 words written in neat handwriting. Remember what Earth made us. He kept that note folded in his uniform pocket for the rest of his career. Through battles and peace talks and moments when the galaxy seemed ready to tear itself apart, he kept it as a reminder. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology. It was not strength or speed, or the ability to catch lightning with bare hands. It was the patient, gentle smile of someone who had already won a fight that nobody else knew had started. And somewhere in the galaxy, on a quiet farming world far from anything important, an old woman named was teaching children how to fish, pretending to be ordinary, pretending to be harmless, waiting, just in case.